In this episode, Ryan walks you through one of his recent deals where there's a £40,000 profit in the deal. At the same time, you have to understand how to manage risk and time the market, and have a plan B if the market crashes, which we are all expecting to happen. If you want to learn how to make £40,000 right now, then listen to this episode. Let me know what you think of this episode. Tweet me at RyanRSOX or leave a review, and I'll send you another one. Sound like a deal? Show me the money on Wednesday. If you have a deal right now and you don't know the best way to structure it, if you post a deal in the community group on Facebook called Property Crash Course, Ryan will help you unlock hidden profits and save you from locking yourself into a loss on those bad deals that every property sourcer wants you to buy.
Okay, so right now, I want to share with you guys how to make some money from property right now. Now, this particular deal is different. This particular deal is actually a purchase. So you hear me many times, multiple times talking on this podcast about, you don't have to buy the property to make money in this climate. And I've been doing this for 15 years. This particular strategy or that particular strategy where you lease the property, you don't have to buy it, you don't need to be the owner, you don't have to get a mortgage, etc. And you can still make 5, 10, even 10 times more than the person who owns or bought the property. So this is a little bit different this episode. This is me sharing another strategy, how to make money from property right now and in the climate we're in. So get your pen, get your piece of paper, and let's get started. Okay, so this is a property that's on the market. It's a 1-bedroom flat, okay? Now, it is high risk to flip things in this particular climate because reality is prices can only fall right now and fall fast. Prices aren't going to rise or rise fast. The opposite, okay? So you have to be careful. You need to be delicate. You need to have an exit strategy. You need to have a plan B, and it needs to cover itself and make some profit should the worst happen. So it has to be rentable. If you're thinking just flipping, it's very, very difficult to flip because you could lose all of the equity, you could lose all of your deposit, or you could lose all of the time and effort and work that's gone into the deal when you think, oh my God, it's at market value, it's, 200,000, I can buy it and sell it for 240, and then you lose 20 or 15% between buying it, completing, doing the work and coming to sell it, and people putting in low cheeky offers, and then you have to take a view. Then you may have lost all the profit or all the equity because of that exact thing, which is what happens in a bear market that we're in right now, in a recession, in the aftermath of the pandemic, the coronavirus, where who knows how far it's going to go. But what we do know is when the government stops paying everybody's salaries, which is fantastic what they're doing. I love Boris. I even named my cat Boris Johnson, Otto, seriously, on its birth certificate, because I appreciate what Boris did and what Rishi did under Boris's command. So yes, I'm normally Labour. That will probably piss a few of you off, but I'm now Conservative, because I appreciate what Boris has done for the country and Rishi what they've done and paying everyone's salaries and borrowed the most amount of money and propping up the economy, etc., etc. That's for another episode. Anyway, when all this furlough comes off, or when it stops, and when the government stops paying everyone's money, bills, salaries, rents, benefits, everything else, everyone is going to be fucked. It really is that simple. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Everyone on those schemes benefiting from these, government bailouts is going to be fucked because people, when the government stops paying, the companies, the employers, they're going to be putting people on 0-hour contracts. They're going to be fucking firing people. They're going to be making full-time people part-time, etc. because the economy hasn't come back or bounced back for them to then start to pay all of the salaries. It won't happen that quick. Anyway, that's my opinion, which comes from a very good place and from experience. I've been through the '08 crash. Comes from experience, okay? So, anyway, you have to take all of that into consideration when you're looking at doing flips because it's very, very, very high risk right now, okay? I don't want you to lose money. This episode, this podcast, this show is about helping all of you guys make fucking money, not lose money, okay? So, let me tell you exactly what I'm doing with this property, okay? So you have an idea. 20 odd years of experience, hundreds and hundreds of deals done, buy, leases, flips, conversions, renovations, building, etc. And everything in between, okay? Everything in between. So this particular property, this is exactly what I'm doing. It's on the market for sale. It had already sold, right? This is the key. It had already sold. Friday, just gone, it falls out of bed. I'm driving up to see my family in Suffolk because it's my father's birthday. And I get a phone call, from an agent who tells me this particular property is just fallen out of bed. He knows I'm in the market. He knows I've got the money. He knows I'm interested in deals. He knows I'm interested in these types of deals. And he calls me and says, do you want it? I find out how much the property is on for. It's just on for just under 200,000, okay? So it's already, there's a margin because I think it's already slightly below the market value. I think it's probably worth about 10% more exactly how it is right now. That's what I honestly think. It was sold at like a Brexit price before when it was sold. And because it's taken a while to go through, it's even before the pandemic, but it's at like the Brexit prices. There's nothing around for sale anywhere near this figure. There's nothing wrong with the building. It needs light TLC. That's about 5 to 7 grand for my team. Kitchen, bathroom, carpets, decoration. Turn it around. The same typical spec like what I'm standing in right now, which is a hotel conversion. And it's ready for sale. And it's like a brand new property then. Right behind the train station where it is. It's in first-time buyer land. Let's put it simple. It is in first-time buyer land. Some people wouldn't want to live there for certain reasons. It's not a bad neighborhood. It's just in first-time buyer land, who aren't really as affected as the rest of the market right now, okay? So there is every chance that it can sell and sell at a reasonable pace because it's very affordable, because it's entry level to the market, because those people aren't as fussy. They're not investors. They want a home. Okay, so it's on at just under 200 grand. I think it's worth 10% more as it is, but this is where the other option or the other angle is. They've called me because my company, theybuyanyhome.com, gives people a quick cash sale or a very fair market sale, and we buy it direct, renovate it, do some work, maybe flip it, maybe hold it, maybe refinance it, maybe chop it up into something else, maybe split the titles, maybe do anything, whatever we can do to make money based on that particular property at that particular time in real time. That's it. There's hundreds of strategies we use. This is just one which is the best one on this property. So, my plan is, it's 1 bedroom at the moment with a massive front room. It has a separate kitchen and 1 bathroom. It's a ground floor, not lower ground, not walking down some steps, not basement. It's a ground floor apartment, okay? So no walk up and no basement. My plan is to get the kitchen out of the kitchen and get the kitchen into the lounge. That now creates an open plan lounge diner, okay? So the kitchen would be in the new lounge, which is very common. I'm in a property right now which had the same spec. It's had the same development to free up some space by optimizing things which people are comfortable with now, and it creates another room. Now, this would only create a single bedroom. It's a very small double. I think you could probably get a queen bed in there. Haven't even been inside yet. I'm going inside tomorrow. Looked at the plans, looked at everything else. I'm inside tomorrow, but from the gist and from what I've seen and from what I know the area very well, it sounds like a deal that I will be going ahead with. Of course, I'll let you know after if we do go ahead with this deal. Let me ask you a question. Are you and your family prepared for when the economy crashes and your bank balance goes to zero? In the aftermath of the 2008 property crash, I held a keynote talk in Piccadilly around property investment tactics that work when the economy crashes. And these tactics saved me in the 2008 crash. Let me share them with you real quickly. The first one is buying properties for £1 without getting a mortgage, without putting a deposit down, and without any credit whatsoever. The next strategy is finding properties with £25,000 to £50,000 of instant equity. The next strategy is buying a property today and paying for the property later when it's worth more a lot more in the future. The next strategy is renting HMOs and student properties and any properties up to 75% below the market rent. This gives you massive cash flow right now. And then the next strategy is raising from £4,000 to £14,000 from properties that you just rent. This can be used as get started cash for whatever you want in your business. Now, I created a free training to walk you through the only strategies that will save your bank balance from going to zero. I'm serious. If you just go to www.propertycrashcourse.com and tell me where to send this free training. So get the kitchen out of where it is in its own room, put the kitchen in the lounge, which is big enough. Now it frees up a small double stroke, good size single but not very wide but long. Probably typical to like a new build property, the second bedroom, the box room, okay, which is fine for first time buyer land, which is fine for a new starter family where they want to have it as a cot or a single room or an office or a study or an occasional room for when their friends or family come to stay, or even for a small child. Perfect for that. That's it. And renovate it, kitchen, bathroom, carpets, give it a facelift. So my plan is to do that, to add value by creating the extra bedroom, putting the kitchen in the lounge, and maybe optimizing some things a bit. And if I can borrow some space, depending on the structure of the walls, maybe I can borrow a meter from the room next door to make the bedroom bigger. If possible, yes, great. If not, just optimize the space with a smaller bed, a queen bed, like a student-style bed in those micro studios. Build some units into the walls, maybe make something higher, maybe bunk beds so it's two people it can accommodate, and then you step up to the top bit like a mezzanine. There's lots of different options that can be done to maximize space when you've got a very, very small room. Kitchen, bathroom, carpets, like I just said, it's just a few grand and that's turned around. Okay, let's get into the numbers, the monetary side. Now, I think it's already about 15 grand below the market value, okay? Already, just exactly how it is. Now, when it's done, I think it would sell for about 240, okay? So it's already about 15 grand below the market value, and I think done as a two-bed, it would cost my team 5 to 7 grand to do it. I think it would sell for about 240. That's about 40 grand. It's a quick flip in and out, 40 grand, okay? It'll probably net around about 30. Maybe 30, 32, 35, okay? Now, this is how I'm going to structure this deal. Actually, no, before that, let me tell you about other ways to make money from this, which again would be my backup plan, okay? The first one is the flip. It will be rented as a holiday rental, right? 2 bedrooms, fully furnished, dressed, styled, go in my portfolio as a holiday rental until it's been sold. So instead of it renting for about £1,100 a month as a 2-bed, maybe 12 because of where it is, it would probably rent for in the region of about 17, 18 a month, okay, as a short-term holiday rental. So when you look at the mortgage for that particular property, if I don't buy it in cash, the mortgage works out around about £550 a month. And like I just said, it will generate, from the historical data that I've got, because we've got a large portfolio in the city from studios to 8-bed houses and everything in between, it will rent for about $1,700 it will generate a month, okay? Now, mortgage 550, 1,700. It's going to net £1,000 a month profit while it's on the market for sale. So is there a rush to sell the property? Yes, because I want my money back out as quick as possible. But at the same time, it's making £1,000 every single month. Now, that's based on getting a mortgage. That's paying all the costs, all the fees, and having a mortgage, okay? So that means that I've only probably put in around about 20-25% of my own money into the property. Of course, if it doesn't sell, it will stay and be retained as a holiday rental while it's on the market for sale, okay? Even if it stays long term, I'm talking 5, 10, 20 years old, doesn't ever get sold, just gets kept, refinanced, and held and retained in my portfolio, then it's still a good investment for the long term. The price we'll be buying it at, the work it needs to bring it up to standard, optimizing it to a 2-bed, it would still be a very good investment, making over £1,000 a month, okay? On that, it's just a 2-bedroom property making £1,000 a month. That's very, very good. Now, the other option is just buying the property in cash. Buying the property in cash and then obviously not getting the mortgage and then obviously waiting for a buyer. Hopefully, depending on how much interest it has, it will be presented in the best possible way. That's another option, but that would tie up around 200 grand of my money in that particular deal, which is not a very good use of my money, okay? But that's still another option. The next option is for me to just use bridging finance, which you can get from a bridger for around about 1% a month, okay? So just think about it, buy it for 200 grand, around about 1% a month, okay? So 200 grand, around about 1% a month, okay? Is what that would cost until the property is sold. And right now in this climate, they'll be asking for around about a 30% deposit. So that's easy. I could just whack in the 30% right now, use the bridging finance, buy the property on a bridge, wait for a buyer to come along, and at the same time still rent it for £1,000 a month. But if you look 200k, let's say 210 with the work, so 210,000. Just adding this up now. Let's just say it costs 1% a month. Okay, so that's £2,100 a month. It would cost less the deposit. Oh, I forgot that. So let's say 200. It's about 70% that we can get right now. So it's 140 grand. Times that by 1%. Right. So that now on the bridge, okay, comes down to a reasonable figure. Right. It's £1,400 a month. $1,400 a month buying it on a bridge. Obviously, I'd have to put 30% in, which is about 60 grand. But then it's working for me, the money, because, like I said, the market rent is about 1.1. So I'll be paying 14, and it will rent for about 17, maybe 18, okay? So it will still be profitable, even buying it on a bridge. It would make, £300 or so, but it would be about 900 or 850 more than what it would cost to get a mortgage. But if the strategy, if it doesn't lose money each month, then the bridging finance is not expensive when you look at it that way. Because if you can't get a mortgage, or you're overexposed, or your credit isn't amazing or even good, or you're bankrupt, or you got CCJs, or the lenders just won't lend on the product or the strategy that you want to use with this property, or the vendor won't wait for you to get a mortgage, there's a dozen reasons why you may have to use bridging finance. So let's say worst case scenario, you have to or we have to. It still makes a profit every single month. And if the end goal is spend around 210 and sell it for 240 and make around 30, then it's sort of irrelevant, the profit each month while you're trying to sell it. However, being mindful that it still covers the cost of the bridging finance, and it still makes money only running it as a short let. So that's the strategy, guys. That's the tactic. That's a way, or a few ways to make money. That's the deal I've got on the table right now. That's the offer that I'm putting in tomorrow to structure this particular property. Now, it will all come back down to when I'm there and I find out what they actually need, what they're willing to accept. I'm talking about the terms. Do they need the money in a week? Do they need the money in a month? Do they want a higher amount of money, but they're happy to exchange contracts with me? Let me send some money to them, let me do the work, and then let me find a buyer. Are they happy with that instead, and I will just pay them more? That means I can avoid the finance, avoid the bridging, avoid everything else, just use their money with them already owning the property, and me sort of step into their position to join them, but give them more money for doing it. Give them an incentive for doing it. So I'm buying time from them instead of arranging finance, which would cost me £1,400 a month. If I use bridging finance and around 60 grand of my money tied up, or I just use the finance already wrapped around the property and just exchange contracts, do the work, cover all the costs, put it back up for sale, and maybe give them a bit more than what they're asking for that facility. But they have a guarantee of a sale in, say, 4 to maybe, 7 months' time instead. So I won't know all of these things until I'm there tomorrow and I've put a few offers together based on what they tell me. I will always give them multiple offers. One will be buying it outright in cash, this figure. One will be obtaining a mortgage and finding a mortgage host, it'll be this figure. Another one will be just, working with them and exchanging contracts and delaying the completion, okay? One is a lower amount, quick cash sale. One is the highest amount, probably more than what they're asking for. I hope you got some value from this episode. I would love to hear your thoughts.
He's a #1 Amazon bestseller. He's an NLP manipulator. He's a property course seller. He's a Lamborghini driving multi-millionaire property guru. Forget that same old boring I am me narcissistic podcast format, because nobody gives a f***. This podcast is all about you. So I'm taking these few seconds to thank you for subscribing, to thank you for leaving your 5-star reviews, and thank you for sharing this show with all of your friends. My team and I will keep bringing you these episodes and answering all of your burning questions in my Facebook community group called Property Crash Course. If you can just keep telling all of your friends about this show.